Welcome back, class. So, this is the last lecture of your Unit 4, in fact, the syllabus of physical chemistry. So, this is the lecture number 11. Lecture number 11 is the last lecture, and the topic of discussion is again in the continuation of the previous topic, that was the application of EMF measurement. So in that connection, we are going to discuss the fourth application, and that is the potentiometric titration. So application of EMF measurement in potentiometric titration. Potentiometric titration. So this is the title of the discussion, and this is the fourth application. I must say that this topic is a practical topic rather than it's a theoretical study, but I will just give a brief idea about the titration and what is the role of EMF during the titration. Okay, so let's start the discussion. So if you know about something about the titration, that in order to find out the unknown quantity, it is a quantity analysis. So in order to find out the unknown quantity with the help of a known, okay, quantity solution. So mainly the titrations are of four types. One is the acid base titration, very common titration. You might be knowing all this acid base titration. In that we have four cases: strong acid strong base, strong acid weak acid strong base, and weak acid weak base. So acid base titration is of four type. Then the second one is the redox titration. This is again very important, mainly deals with the redox reactions. So redox titration is the second titration. Then the third one is the precipitation titration. Precipitation titration is the third one. Precipitate, where the precipitate formation occurs. So precipitation titration is the third titration. And the fourth one is the complexometric titration. Complexometric titration, where the complex formation occur. So these are the main type of titration. So these all titration we can done with the help of potentiometric method, okay, where we use uh, mainly the EMF calculation, so that on the basis of that EMF we can calculate, we can find out the unknown concentration. What is the traditional method of titration? You all know that the traditional method of titration is what? You have a unknown solution which we can take in a beaker, and then the known quantity is taken into burette, and then we add that by the using indicator. We can then we use indicate appropriate indicator, okay. Then we add NOH or whatever from the burette, and the color will change, and then the reading is plot, and we'll get a graph, okay. So this is what the traditional method, or by the burette calculation you can find out the known concentration N1 V1 and N2 V2. You all know that in the acid base, okay. But what is the principle here? What is the change actually here? So principle of this, what is the principle that is very important. So principle is uh, one of the solution will take in a titration flask. One of the solution is taken in titration flask, okay, that we all know, and other solution is added to it from the burette, and other solution is added to it from burette. Okay, so this is very common, you all know that. Now what is actually here difference, what is different in potentiometric titration? What will happen when you added other solution from the burette? The concentration of some ion in the titration flask will be decreased, keeps on decreasing. What? The concentration of some ion in what? In flask, that is a titration flask. In titration flask keeps on decreasing. So this is a, uh, actually happened in traditional method also. What you will do in case of potentiometric titration? If an electrode reversible with respect to this ion is set up in the titration flask, this is the difference. Okay, I'm writing in different color sketch. If an electrode, if an electrode reversible, reversible with respect to what? With respect to this ion, the ion concentration I'm talking, is set up, is set up in titration flask, its electrode potential will keep on change. This is the difference. Its electrode, because as you adding something from burette, the concentration will change, so that the electrode potential will change. So its electrode potential keep on change. This is the difference. Okay. And if the electrode is set up in the titration flask is combined with a reference electrode, if this setup is combined with another reference electrode, okay, so what we will do then? If the electrode setup, if the electrode thus setup in titration flask is combined with a, is combined with reference electrode. So reference electrode is what? We can take calomel electrode, calomel electrode. Okay, then what will happen? EMF of the cell will keep on changing. Again EMF of the cell will change, and then the EMF of the cell will keep on change, and a sudden change, show a sudden change. So I'm writing again in different color, and show a sudden change. Sudden change means where the reading is sharply changed, maybe it increase or decreases. Suppose your the reading was 5.3, and then in next drop you will get reading 8.9. So this is the sudden change, this is the big change. Okay, so a sudden change in the value, show a sudden change in the value is what? Is the indication of reaction complete. When the reaction is complete. So this is what the principle. I am again repeating. See, the traditional method, You have a conical flask, the titration flask. Then you have a burette. In burette you will take a known concentration. In titration flask, unknown concentration. In unknown concentration we will add a indicator. That indicator show a specific color, depends on the pH of the solution. Then what we will do, we will add a few drops from burette, and then the concentration will change, so as the color is also changed. And as the color disappears or change, that would be the end point. This is what the traditional method, and we'll note the value of that end point, and then we'll take another values. Okay, here what we will do, here we will start with the same procedure. We'll have a titration flask, we'll have a burette also. In titration flask we'll take a solution of unknown concentration. Burette we have solution of known concentration. Then what we will do we will take an electrode reversible with respect to this ion. This ion means the titration I'm talking about on. Okay, uh, and then what will calculate, the electrode potential will change if this electrode what we have set up is connected with another reference electrode, that is hydrogen, that can be a calomel. So in this case we'll take the calomel electrode, so we'll get a EMF value. Okay, and that EMF change consistently whenever you add a burette, whenever you add a solution from burette, the EMF value will change. There is a point where the change is sudden. Okay, this change is sudden, the sharp change, and that is the end point, that is the indication of completion of your reaction. So this is what the principle behind this. Okay, now we will go for one or two example. Let's take an example of acid base titration. Okay, acid base titration. So acid base titration. So let's draw the setup. What is the setup for the acid base titration? We all know that what we required a beaker or titration flask, we can say. Okay, so this is the titration flask. Okay, in that titration flask what we need a solution. So this is a solution. Let's this solution is acid solution. Okay, acid solution. Acid means HCl. Let's suppose the HCl. This is unknown, we don't know about the concentration of. And then what we'll take a burette. So burette, let's draw the burette here. So what, this is the burette. Okay, and here in that burette we'll take solution. So if this is acid, we have to take the base here. So base is nothing but what, NOH. Okay, sodium hydroxide. And this we can take the stained, this is the clamp, so that this burette will be connected. Okay, and now for the potentiometric setup, what we required electrode. So we have a solution of HCl. So what we required the same ion electrode. So we required hydrogen electrode, or those electrode which shows the hydrogen. Okay, which give the hydrogen. So we have hydrogen electrode, we have queen hydrogen electrode, and we have glass electrode also. So these all electrodes are considered as a hydrogen electrode. So you can take any one of that. Okay, so let's here I'm going to take a electrode. So this is, and so here the hydrogen, let's, and this is the hydrogen. Okay, hydrogen at 1 atmosphere pressure. And then what we need we need a reference electrode. So we need to draw another electrode, another cell, so that is the reference electrode. Okay, so here we have a solution. that is the reference electrode. So this is nothing but another electrode paste of AgCl2. Okay, so now we have two electrodes, so we will combine these two electrodes. This is the, so this is vacuum tube potentiometer. Here the potentiometer where the value will shown. Okay, this is the potentiometer. So this is now, and for the complete setup what we required a salt bridge also. So this is the salt bridge. This is the salt bridge. This experiment you might be, I think, maybe in fourth semester or sixth semester. I don't know exactly the syllabus. So maybe in fourth or sixth semesters in practical. So you'll find over there. Okay. So this is your what calomel electrode. Okay, this is calomel electrode. So now this is what the setup we need in order to find out the uh, EMF of the solution, so that we'll calculate the concentration. So let's discuss that. So in this case what we'll take, we have NaOH solution. Okay, and we have a HCl solution. So this we need to titrate against NaCl. So HCl is unknown and NaOH is known. Okay, so this is HCl is titrated against what? NaOH. Okay, then here is the hydrogen electrode. So this hydrogen electrode can be of three types. You can take any one. Now we had already discussed the hydrogen electrode, the queen hydrogen electrode, glass electrode, any. Okay, so we can take queen hydron also, queen hydron, or we can take glass electrode also. So these all are considered as a hydrogen electrode because they show hydrogens. Okay, the use. Then what is actually happened uh, when you see in some books or some notes, what you'll find that they written that initially you have to add the NaOH solution in larger amount. Larger amount means what? We should start with 1 ml or 1.5 ml. Okay, and then at before the end point. Okay, and before the end point uh, we have to start the very small addition like point 0.1 or point 0.2, but I don't think it's the right way actually. We should start with the constant. Okay, so whether you can go for point 0.1 or point 0.2 or point 0.3, whatever you want. Okay, so just start the drop wise addition from the burette. It can be point 0.1, point 0.2, whatever you want, just go for that value only. Okay, don't see that first we'll add 1 ml, then we start 0.5 ml, because you don't know what is the end point. Okay, so for that you have to start with the constant value. It can be point 0.1, point 0.2, point 0.3, point 0.4, point whatever you want. Okay, better you start with the least value like point 0.1 or point 0.2, so that no error is there. Otherwise if you start with the 0.5 ml and suppose the end point is come before that, so this may give not you exact value. So just start with the basics only. So what we'll start addition of NaOH in this solution. So in that case what will happen, whatever is the concentration will change, the EMF value will be what? Change. So here that EMF will be reflect. So you need to what? Write the EMF value each and every time. And then when you write this EMF value of every addition, there is a point where what you will find a sudden change, so that you need to, for that you need to plot a graph. Okay, so I'll just show you that what is the graph. So here, suppose we have a, here what volume of NaOH added. Okay, and in this case we'll take the EMF of the cell, EMF of cell. So now when you start the addition of NaOH in the beaker, the value of EMF will be start. Okay, so this will start like it can be any, so I'm just giving you a hint, like this, then this, and then this. This is what the change you'll find. So here when we plot the graph, this, so this is the point where the change is exactly all of sudden, and this is your equivalent point. Okay, so this you need to find out. This is your equivalent point. So from this value you can easily find out what is the volume of NaOH you have used. So with the value of this NaOH you can easily find out the value of concentration of HCl by the simple method. Okay, so this is how this reaction is important. uh, we can go for one more example, that is the redox titration. So for that redox titration, you can, I'm just giving you a hint. Okay, I'm not going into detail because as I told you earlier that it is a topic of experiment, so no need to discuss it in detail because it is purely experimental setup. For the redox titration, what you required, we required a solution of redox, which was redox reaction. So ferrous sulfate is titrated titrated against ferrous against potassium dichromate. Okay, so what will take, ferrous sulfate is titrated, so ferrous sulfate will be taken into the beaker, and then again the same thing, platinum wire you can take, so that electrode is set up and potassium dichromate is in the burette, and then this will combine with calomel electrode, and this again will start the uh, adding K2CR2 in the beaker, then the EMF will be changed, endpoint will determine, so that just like in other cases. So this is another example. I'm not going to detail, you can just take the reference of this acid base titration. Here in this case what will it be, potassium dichromate, here is the ferrous sulfate, and then you can take a platinum wire, so that a setup is there, calomel electrode is always there for a reference electrode, and this is how the thing will complete. Now same as you can go for the precipitation titration also, because the precipitation titration is again very important one, so I'm not going to discuss. Important things to discuss is the advantage. What is advantage of potentiometric titration? So advantage is very important. First, no need of indicator, internal indicator, especially when we have a colored solution, especially for colored solution. So no need of indicator. This is the first and very important advantage. As you can see that we haven't used any indicator in that. For acid base titration, for redox titration, for precipitation titration, there is no required of any indicator. Second advantage, see, for the acid base titration you need an indicator, and that indicator is based on the pH of the solution. Whatever is the pH of the solution, the indicator will be changed. So for the acid base titration, no prior knowledge of pH, no prior knowledge of pH is required, because as we are not using as any indicator, so there is no need of to remember the pH of the solution. Okay, then the third is very important one, that is the this titration can be used for the titration of a mixture of two acid having different degree of ionization with the same energy solution. This is again very important one. So the third advantage is what, these titration can be used for the titration of a mixture of two acids having different degree of ionization, degree of ionization with the same NH solution, with same NaH solution. So this is very important. Okay, this is very important, especially when we have silver nitrate and in a like we have mixture of fluoride, bromide and iodide can be estimated by titration with silver nitrate. Example is what, mixture of chloride, bromide and iodide ion can be estimated by AgNO3, AgCl, AgBr and Agi different colors. Okay, so this is one of the very importance of this potentiometric titration. So no need of indicator, no prior knowledge of pH in case of acid base titration, and you can use mixtures of solution also in order to find out the values. So I think this is all about from the potentiometric titration. Here we have discussed in detail the acid base titration with the principle, redox titration. I'm just giving you overview of that, complexometric titration and the precipitation titration. You can easily discuss with the help of this. So with this we have ended the syllabus of electrochemistry, physical chemistry. Unit 4 is completed with this lecture, and I hope you enjoyed the lectures. Please comment if you have any problem with this lecture, or if you want to discuss any topic which I not completed during these 10 or 11 lectures. So you can comment that topic also, we can discuss that topic. Okay, otherwise I have completed the syllabus. This is a complete range of the lectures from lecture number 1 to lecture 11, where you'll get the each and every topic of your syllabus. Still if you find that some topic are missed, or some area I not touched, so please mention this in the comment box. We will definitely go for that also. And as I received the many comments, then I will definitely prepare the video of that topic also. Okay, but from my side, this is the end of syllabus of physical chemistry. BSc B.Ed fourth semester. Thank you so much for your watching.